Hey guys, today I will be starting a new What If Tanjiro was born a demon king. In an isolated house somewhere in the mountainside, Tanjiro Kamado was born in the moonlight into a family of coal burners. He had 3 flame marks across his face and another wrapping around his chest. He also had sharp fangs in his mouth and razor blades for nails. As Tanjiro opened his eyes for the first time, his pinkish red eyes glowed, piercing into his parents' eyes. Seeing this, Tanjiro Kamado considered killing the boy, realizing he was a demon. However, he couldn't. Despite being a demon, he was still his newborn son, an innocent soul who hasn't even harmed a fly. Even though Tanjiro was a demon, he did not crave for human blood, instead preferring meaty foods rich in iron and protein. Similarly to other demons, Tanjiro had an instinctual fear of the sunlight, but luckily their mountainside was usually covered in snow, blocking out the light, allowing Tanjiro to help his family sell coal in the day. However, on his 8th birthday, he dashed out into the sunlight to protect his siblings from a pack of wild wolves, scaring them off after throwing the leader into a tree. As expected, he felt the burning feeling rush across his body, spreading from his head to his toes. Then the top layer of his skin started to flake off. However, surprisingly, after a few seconds, he felt okay. No perfect, the sunlight no longer scared him or harmed him. With this new development, Tanjiro was able to help out his family even more, selling more coal in that year than he did all the years prior. One day, not too dissimilar to his usual days, Tanjiro had gone off to sell coal to the neighboring village and help the local citizens with their work. Because of this, he didn't manage to head home until night, being pulled aside by an old man to sleep at his house as demons attack at night. Hearing this, Tanjiro snickers about the irony of the situation, deciding to stay to protect the old man and ease their fears. Tanjiro would wake up in the middle of the night smelling the scent of blood rush through the air in the direction of his house. Realizing what that implied, Tanjiro used all his power to dash towards his house, using his biokinesis to create 8 bone blade tentacles protruding from his back, shooting them towards the figure standing in front of his family, slicing off his arms and legs. The figure looked shocked, trying to recall any demon he had created with such power out of his control, unable to think of one, then rapidly regenerating his limbs as before the last ones could even fall to the ground. Tanjiro then yelled, "Who are you, and what do you want with my family?" But the figure turned to him a murderous glare, stating that he is the demon king Kibuzuyi Muzan, and he is here to create a perfect demon and dispose of some weaklings. Hearing this, Tanjiro is enraged, firing a massive explosive sun from his mouth towards Muzan's direction, to which he barely dodged, demanding to know who this rogue demon is who dares to defy the demon king. However, before Tanjiro could answer, he saw the Hanafuda earrings resting on Tanjiro's ears as he got flashes of a tall man who possessed an aura similar to the sun itself, Yoritichizu Jikuni. Recognizing the resemblance between the two, the blood rushed away from his face, making him paler than he already was, and forced his fingers to tremble in fear, as his PTSD took over, compelling him to escape. But Tanjiro wouldn't allow it. However, without a method of killing him, Muzan escaped just before sunrise. Seeing as Tanjiro got there earlier than usual, he managed to protect his family from death. However, without rapid treatment they will die. Seeing this, Tanjiro desperately forced a small amount of his blood into their wounds to try heal them like it did himself. As he did that, their bodies contorted as they morphed into demons, however a different kind of demon than that man, one similar to himself, immune to the sun and the need for regular blood ingestion. Seeing this, they were confused on how they had survived such injuries, with Tanjiro explaining that he transferred a portion of his blood into each of them, healing them, with the side effect of turning them into demons under his suggestion and control if he wills. Before they could wrap their minds around what had just happened, another figure arrived diving down with a blade directed towards Tanjiro's neck, but Tanjiro instinctually spun his body around, catching the blade between his hands, bending it 90 degrees to the side, snapping it into 8 pieces, forcing the swordsman to jump back to make some distance between them. Tanjiro stepped in front of his family, outstretching his arms to protect them, demanding to know who this new figure was, and asking if he was sent by Muzan Kibuzuyi to take care of what he couldn't. Hearing that name, Tomioka's face changed expression, introducing himself as Gu Tomioka, a demon slayer, and that means his duty is to slay all demons. Tomioka then asks what their relation to Muzan is. With Takeo, Tanjiro's younger brother, yelling that he is the piece of trash that attempted to kill their family and was sent running with his tail between his legs by Tanjiro Oni-chan. Rokuta and Hanako say with tears in their eyes, asking the demon slayer why he needs to kill their Ni-chan. Their Ni-chan is the coolest and kindest in the world, always helping others and even saving them from that scary demon king. Tomioka, slightly affected by their emotions, states that because he is a demon, he needs blood to survive, so kills innocent people. But Tanjiro's mother interjects, testifying that despite being a demon since birth, Tanjiro has never had any hunger for human flesh or blood, simply needing sleep or meat rich in proteins and iron. Tomioka asks for proof, but Tanjiro could not provide him with any other than his word not to harm any humans. However, knowing he is outmatched by Tanjiro and his family, who are at least lower and upper moon levels, with Tanjiro being Demon King levels of power, Tomioka decides to take his word, directing Tanjiro and his family towards Mount Sagiri so Tanjiro can be trained to become Demon Slayer while his family can relocate away from Muzan's reach. On their way they find a bottom-feeding demon feasting on a family of humans at a rest stop. Before the demon could even react to their presence, Tanjiro had activated biokinesis, slicing him into 1800 pieces, then releasing an exploding sun, eradicating every cell in its body, killing it. Just before they were going to set off again, an old man with silver hair, wearing a red Tengu mask and cloud-patterned kimono with navy color pants which were fastened at his shins by white Kyohan guards. He also wore traditional black tabi socks, and sandals with blue straps. Hanging on his side was a blue Nishirin blade, with his hands grasping on the handle ready to attack. The man questions the group, asking them if they are the Kamado family that Tomioka had sent his direction. Answering, Tanjiro confirms, asking the man if he is Sakanji Urokodaki. With the man nodding, telling the family to follow him, leading them towards the foot of the mountain, telling Tanjiro that if he wants to become a demon slayer and avenge his family, he needs to climb the mountain and descend it before daybreak. Within seconds, Tanjiro had ascended the mountain, and started to descend when he started to smell the scent of a human on the ground and trees, dodging out the way of traps with ease, weaving in and out like it was nothing, arriving back down on the other side of the mountain before Urokodaki could start breakfast. Seeing as Tanjiro completed the test, Urokodaki took Tanjiro in as one of his students, along with Takeo, who wanted to learn water breathing to help him protect his family when Tanjiro was away being a demon slayer. At the same time, Kei Kamado, Nezuko Kamado, Shigeru Kamado and Hanako Kamado help out around the house in return for letting them stay. Every day, Tanjiro and Takeo would travel down the mountain, maneuvering through traps to develop their sense of smell, instincts, and reflexes. They also swung their swords millions of times a day to get used to the feel of the blade and develop muscles. He also instructed them to fall and get up as fast as possible, to train how to land as gently as possible. After doing this for a week straight, Urokodaki taught them the basics techniques on how to swing a sword without breaking it, then allowing the duo to spar together, and since they are demons, they can heal from any wound they may inflict on each other. After getting the hang of the training, Urokodaki finally started to teach them breathing techniques, starting with total concentration constant, then all 10 water breathing forms. He tells them to take a deep breath to allow oxygen to flow throughout their bodies, as they both take in a long inhale, only to be slapped in the stomach by Urokodaki for his incorrect method. Next, he moves on to the forms to use while using total concentration, only to be repeatedly slapped again for being wrong and for not bracing their stomach. Later, Urokodaki instructs them to become one with the water, which involves kicking them off a cliff into a cold river. As a demon, they pick up on total concentration breathing quite rapidly, as despite feeling the strain on their lungs, any damage instantly heals, allowing them to continue, so they keep it active 24/7, greatly increasing their strength, speed and reaction speed. After doing this for about 3 months, they both gain a deep understanding of the techniques, as they don't need to sleep, so trained all day every day, now knowing all 10 water breathing forms. Because of this, Urokodaki tells them that there is nothing left for him to teach them, directing them to 2 boulders, instructing them that if Tanjiro can cut the boulder, he is permitted to go to final selection. With that being said, Tanjiro uses his explosive sun ability to explode one of the boulders, sending molten chunks raining into the distance, then using an improved lateral water wheel to split the second boulder. Seeing as Tanjiro has water breathing down and passed the test, he is sent to final selection the next day, a year and a half earlier than usual, meaning the Kamaboko squad will not be present in the trial. As soon as the test started, Tanjiro dashed into action using water surface slash to kill 3 demons that set their eyes on him, then using his biokinesis to penetrate and drag 8 more towards himself, decapitating them with striking tide turbulent. Seeing Tanjiro's strength, most of the demon slayers hid behind him, despite some of them realizing he was a demon. Eventually Tanjiro would encounter the hand demon, who shoots his hands towards him, but Tanjiro catches them, slicing them off with biokinesis. The plus-size demon then began to taunt Tanjiro, describing the gruesome deaths of Sabito and Mokomo, 2 of Urokodaki's now deceased students, explaining their past, stating that he will kill this little fox like the others, but before he could finish his sentence, he was exploded by Tanjiro's explosive sun, leaving only his mutated head, which was sliced at the neck with flowing dance. As the demon began to decay, Tanjiro could smell a scent of sorrow emitting from the demon, deciding to hold one of its hands, praying that in the next life he doesn't become a demon under Muzan's control. Because of Tanjiro being there, not a single participant died, and killing all the demons on Mount Fujikasane. After returning from final selection, everyone celebrates, not that they were scared that he wouldn't return. After a week of waiting for his Nishirin blade to be forged, Higanzuka Hotaru appears at Urokodaki's house to deliver his sword, handing it to Tanjiro, hoping that it would turn scarlet red. As Tanjiro unsheathed it from its scabbard, he ran the sword through his chest, coating it in blood, pulling it out, igniting the blood, as it turns a crimson red, with slightly darker red fangs running across it on one side and a red flame pattern on the other. At the bottom of the blade the kanji for destroy was inscribed into it, and it had a red and black zuba and a blood pattern running down the hilt, exciting both Higanzuka and Urokodaki, as it was the first one they had ever seen. Now having a Nichin blade of his own, Tanjiro embarked on his first mission to hunt down Muzan, easily 50 demons within the first month of becoming a demon slayer, catching the attention of Yubayashiki as he was called to participate in the next Hashira meeting. Seeing as Tanjiro is a demon, All the Hashira minus Tomioka prepare to attack Tanjiro, but Tomioka steps in front to defend him, requesting that they at least wait and hear out the master as he was the one who called him here. After waiting for a while, the master arrived, and everyone bowed, so Tanjiro did the same, until the master asked them to rise. He started by clearing the tension and confusion in the air about Tanjiro's presence, explaining that Tanjiro is a demon slayer who happens to have been born as a demon, with powers believed to rival Muzan himself, which shocked the Hashira. Despite the master stating that Tanjiro was a demon slayer, some of the Hashira couldn't accept it, especially Sanemi Shinazugawa, who apologized for his actions and charged towards Tanjiro, ferociously attacking, but Tanjiro easily defended himself with his biokinesis, countering every attack, until firing a miniature explosive sun at his sword, knocking it out of his hands. The master then asked if Sanemi is done now, but he asked to test one more thing, slicing his wrist, exposing his Mary Kai blood, which can make some of the strongest demons, upper moons, salivate and lose concentration and control. However, it did nothing to Tanjiro. As he took a few steps forwards towards Sanemi, Sanemi declared that all demons are the same and can't resist blood, but Tanjiro stopped right before him, pulling a handkerchief from his pocket, wrapping it around the wound, telling Sanemi that he should take better care of his body from now on, turning away. With the test now over, Yubaya Shiki explains the real reason that Tanjiro was called to Hashira meeting, stating that Tanjiro has qualified to become a Hashira and has the opportunity to replace Tomioka as the water Hashira if both of them wish. However, Tanjiro declined, stating that he doesn't feel like water breathing is suited to his body, so he doesn't feel comfortable being known as the strongest water breather. Hearing this, Tomioka practically started to beg Tanjiro to replace him, stating, "I am not worthy of becoming the water pillar, I am a human who couldn't beat a single demon, and I was bailed out in final selection, can I really say I passed? I am not worthy of standing with the other pillars as equals. I'm not like them. I should have never had a place among the demon hunters." This shocks the rest of the Hashira, as they thought that whenever Tomioka said he was different, he was just being arrogant. However, it was the complete opposite. After hearing his story, Tanjiro relates to Tomioka's experiences to his experiences with his family who nearly died while he would survive. In both cases, they survived at the expense of the stronger, kinder, protective person's death. Thinking about this, Tanjiro asks Tomioka if Sabato's expectations for Tomioka living a fulfilled life were what held them together. These words shock the Hashira, reminding him of an interaction with Sabato where the latter convinces him to not die for the life his sister gave him. Tomioka thinks of his deceased friend and sister, apologizing to them for his stubbornness, and tells Tanjiro that he will continue to stand among the pillars and help him find his true breathing style, letting out a faint smile, which only Shinobukoko noticed. Because Tanjiro refused to become the water Hashira, he temporarily became the demon Hashira until he finds his true breathing style. One of the benefits of becoming a pillar is getting an estate of his own, the demon estate, so Tanjiro invited his family to stay there, where they took a liking to certain breathing styles, with Nezuko starting to learn flower breathing with Kaneo, Hanako learning love breathing with Matsuri Kanroji, Shigeru learning flame breathing under Rengoku, and Rokyuta learning the basics of mist breathing. Now the demon Hashira, Tanjiro took a new form using his demonic powers, naming it his assault form, becoming a 6 feet tall man with long flowing crimson hair, similar to Yoritichi, traveled across Japan completing mission after mission, killing hundreds of demons as if they were nothing. One day, Tanjiro had a mission to travel to Japan to investigate a potential demon sighting. However, upon arrival, he caught the scent of a familiar person, Muzan Kibuzui. Instantly running into action, Tanjiro appeared behind the Demon King, putting a hand on his shoulder to stop him from escaping. After seeing Tanjiro's face, Muzan got PTSD from both Yoritichi and Tanjiro, taking a step back, hands shaking to the point he dropped his daughter, with Tanjiro catching her, putting her on the floor next to him. Scared out of his mind, Muzan tried to transform the nearest people into demons, but before he could, Tanjiro had sliced off both his arms, kicking him to the ground. Remember, this all happened in the blink of an eye, so to all the bystanders it looked like Muzan's arms just fell off as he hit the ground. Despite the fear, Muzan jumped into action, regenerating his arms, standing up, transforming into his final form, as he activates biokinesis, making 8 razor bony tentacles protrude from his back with enough poison to kill someone with a single scratch. Muzan then swung them around in an attempt to kill the civilians, forcing Tanjiro to defend them, slicing the extra appendages off one after another using constant flux, but they grow back as soon as they are cut. Tanjiro finally managed to lure Muzan away from the citizens, but Muzan managed to slice his hand off, knocking his sword back towards the crowd of people, forcing Tanjiro to leave it behind, activating his own biokinesis to fight back, using it to create a bone and flesh sword, which he used in combo with water breathing to defend himself, shooting a multi-exploding sun barrage towards Muzan, blowing up his head and arms, then using his bone sword to slice his body in half with a waterfall basin. Despite the fight looking over to any onlooker, the fight was nowhere near over as Muzan reformed, catching Tanjiro off guard, wrapping him in a tight hug using his biokinesis, cutting him deeply, but Tanjiro managed to escape by combining the footwork of flowing dance along with the twists and turns required to execute the whirlpool technique in order to perform a devastating attack, crippling Muzan for a split second before he regenerated, but he was met with a drop ripple thrust, curve. Stab straight through the head, then changing form into a striking tide, turbulent to once again disarm Muzan. After Tanjiro beating Muzan for a few minutes, Muzan finally got a clean hit in, nearly decapitating Tanjiro, throwing him cratering into a wall. Tanjiro thinks that he doesn't have enough strength and speed to permanently finish Muzan, especially without his Nishirin blade. At that moment, while his neck heals, he remembers a memory of his father telling him to become the Hai no Kami, remembering his father's Hai no Kami Kagura dance, activating sun-breathing first form, dance, slicing Muzan into pieces, then using clear blue sky to create a powerful 360-degree slash across Muzan's chest, then using setting sun transformation to slice of Muzan's head. However, despite the sudden increase in power, Muzan persists, regenerating the damage as it wasn't inflicted using a red Nishirin blade. As the fight continued, Tanjiro thought he would have to fight Muzan until sunrise, since he couldn't risk bringing him closer to the citizens who were still surrounding his sword. When suddenly someone in the crowd tossed his sword to him, clenching it in his hands, slicing Muzan's limbs off with burning bones, Summer-san, pointing his sword to Muzan's head with him lying on the ground at Tanjiro's mercy. Recognizing this situation when Yoritichi did the same to him, Muzan's teeth began to grind together, creating a screeching noise, as his body expanded, until rupturing apart into nearly 2,000 pieces, in every direction. Seeing Muzan try to escape, Tanjiro activates the 13th form, a combination of all the 12 forms present in sun breathing, used in succession to maximize their power. Tanjiro also activated biokinesis and a multi-exploding sun scatter shot to destroy 1,550 of the chunks. However, sadly 250 of the Muzan chunks escaped, reforming into a ball the size of a head. Seeing this, Tanjiro dropped to his knees, punching the ground, blaming himself for dropping his sword at the start of the fight, leading to Muzan's escape. After Tanjiro calmed down and prepared to leave, he was stopped by two demons who introduced themselves as Tameo and Yoshio, and invite him to follow them back to their hideout to talk. Once they arrive, the demon duo explain that they are good demons who are not under Muzan's control, and wish for him to die, so were really happy to see him overpowered even if he escaped. They then ask Tanjiro how he is a demon, with him giving them the rundown of his life. He then outstretches his hand, offering to transfer a portion of his blood into them, making them significantly stronger and immune to the sun with no need to consume small amounts of blood. Yoshio rejects, fearing that it would allow Tanjiro to control them, but he is persuaded by Tameo as they both accept, becoming as strong as Upper Moons 5 and 6 respectively. Tanjiro then leaves to hunt Muzan once again. Back with Muzan, he calls an Upper and Lower Moon meeting, ordering all demons to kill the Demon Slayer with the Hanafuda earrings and demonic appearance, and in return they will get more of his blood. Seeing this as a chance to become a moon, two demons Suzumaru and Yahaba track Tanjiro under Muzan's orders, but before they could even notice, Tanjiro pierced the Tamari using Sunflower Thrust, then using Fire Wheel to leap behind the arrow demon, killing it with Setting Sun Transformation. Seeing her comrade die so fast, the Tamari demon grows extra arms and starts kicking multiple Tamaris at Tanjiro, but he easily kicks them back, blowing up its head, following up by throwing an exploding sun, eradicating every last trace of the demon. Over the next year and few months, Tanjiro encounters Lower Moons 5 to 6, easily killing them like it was nothing, using Burning Bones Summer Sun followed by Raging Sun, despite them being empowered with Muzan's blood. By this time Tanjiro is now 15, and his family have decided to take the final selection to become demon slayers to protect innocents. Because of this, Tanjiro brings them to final selection to overlook it, the same one he would have gone to in canon. As expected, they dominated the final selection, killing all the demons on the mountains, as they are all equal to Upper Moon 6, 5 and 4, with Nezuko being equal to Upper Moon 3, as she received the most blood from Tanjiro as he needed more cells to kill the Muzan cells inside her. Because of this, all members of the final selection survived. Just like canon, Genya gets impatient and demands for a color-changing sword, while pulling on a girl's hair, so Tanjiro steps in, informing Genya that if he doesn't let go, he is going to snap his arm like a twig, but Genya simply says he would like to see him try, so Tanjiro increased his grip strength to create a clean break with an audible crunch noise, forcing the boy back, as he asks who he is, as he wasn't in the final selection, as Tanjiro introduces himself as the demon son Hashira, the man who beat Muzan twice, forcing him to run away in both instances, which shocks all the people present. Tanjiro then transforms back into his normal state and walks over to congratulate his siblings and Kaneo for passing, and thanking Kaneo for taking such good care of Nezuko, bowing. But the girl remains quiet, nodding her head and also bowing. The final selection then ends like usual, with them all choosing the metals to forge their Nishirin swords with. After a few weeks, they receive their swords, with Hanako and Nezuko getting black and pink blades to match their flower and heart marks, Shigeru getting a black, red and orange blade to match his flame mark, Rokyuta getting a black and teal sword, matching his cloud mark, and Takeo getting a pure black bad like Tanjiro did in canon, having a single red sun mark across his face running from the bridge of his nose to the top of his head, and wrapping around his left eye. Seeing as none of their blades were red, Tanjiro started to teach them how to activate the powers of their marks fully, teaching them how to turn their swords scarlet red and attempting to teach them the transparent world. However, only Takeo managed to learn it, with Nezuko managing to learn it a few weeks later. Seeing as Takeo had water breathing and a similar mark to himself, Tanjiro decides to make him his Zagyuko, while the others decide to stick with their respective trainers. In between missions, Tanjiro attempted to teach his brother sun breathing, but apparently it wasn't as compatible with his body as he had expected, so instead Tanjiro helped him to merge certain forms of water breathing and sun breathing together to create a unique style, closely related to sun breathing, naming it rainbow breathing, no homo, making Takeo as strong as Upper Moon 1. The breathing style has 13 forms. First form, Color Rush Flash, which was the simplest technique, a blisteringly fast slash that could decimate opponents. Second form, Rainbow Arc, is a technique where the user rotates their whole body to deliver a powerful 360-degree slash. Third form, Double Beam Slash, is a simple yet powerful attack consisting of 2 horizontal slashes. Fourth form, Striking Tide Rainbow Sky, is a technique that allows circular slashes which completely cover the area around the user. Fifth form, Final Ray, is a movement that builds momentum by doing a backflip followed by delivering a powerful slash, using this stored momentum to great effect to easily dismember or decapitate demons. Sixth form, Refract, is a clever technique that refracts light around the sword slash, making it look easy to avoid. However, that is where the attack proves to be quite dangerous, as the refracted slash is simply a distraction to the fact that the blade has already slashed them, making them dodge the blow after it has already struck. Seventh form, Optical Prism, is a powerful technique that gives the enemy no chance of escape. Eighth form, Piercing Ray, is a powerful stabbing attack with the point of the blade impaling the enemy. Ninth form, Rainbow Halo Dragon Dance, is a flashy move where the user uses a single repetitive attack with the attack gaining power with each repetition, taking the shape of a shimmering multicolored dragon. 10th form, Rainbow Wheel, is a circular attack where the user jumps over the enemy to flank them before unleashing a glistening circular slash. Rainbow Veil is an attack similar to Refract, however instead of using a blade to cause confusion, the user makes multiple rapid spins requiring tricky footwork, that leaves an after image to bamboozle enemies who try to attack the after image in vain, creating an opening to attack. 11th form, Rainbow Dance, is a combination of powerful vertical and horizontal slashes. 12th form, Reflect, is a defensive and offensive attack, where the user fiercely rotates their upper and lower body, to redirect attacks aimed at them towards their enemies. 13th form, Blessed Rainbow, is an attack where the user grips onto their sword and decapitates the opponent in a single flowing strike that causes little to no pain, used when an enemy willingly gives up. Okay guys, this is the end of the first part. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, remembering to turn on the notification button. With that being said, this is Demonic Saiyan saying bye.